When you cough and sneeze, do responsibly. If you feel you're getting ill, isolate at home and chill. No, you're not alone. Please pick up your phone and call 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Community Radio Station will provide you with more information. Say Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Welcome to the Fitness Corner. I'm your host, Mark Bryant, and you're going to get a whole total body workout on my show, starting off with a warm-up, aerobics, strength training, cool down, and stretching every Friday from 11:30 to 12 right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Queen Bree, inviting you to come join me on Clean Greens Living, broadcasted Tuesdays, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Clean Greens Living, we talk farming, community, and ways to being healthy. So come join me and let's discuss ways to create a healthier you and a healthier community.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects. For more information, visit kingcounty.gov.
Paul Pearson, host of Star Time, and this is my real voice. Honest, you're hearing it on Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
Should have told her you were sorry.
He's hilarious. TikTok is 7 o'clock. And you know what time it is? It's time for LidLine Sports. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the wonderful world of LidLine Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. I am Pep. O will be joining us shortly. So I just want to say I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Daniel, how was yours? Was yours good? Yes. Well, mine was good. I had 4 days off, which is always a good thing when you have some time off. Spend time with loved ones. I spent some time with my loved one and some family members. So that was good. Unfortunately, sports and world of sports, as far as the local home team, especially in the NFL, wasn't so well. We'll get into that a little bit later. And so the Washington Huskies played Saturday, and that went pretty well. It was a struggle. I'll just put it that way. But they won, so that was a good thing. The Kraken are still struggling. The Mariners are still making silly moves. From what I can tell, they're not doing anything major. So that's about it for now, as far as that's concerned. So let's get right into some Husky football, since that's the best news of the week. They are 12-0, getting by with a 24-21 win over the Washington State Cougars. The Wazoo tried to give them a good run, and the Huskies finally prevailed in the end. But man, this was too close for comfort. You know, we're trying to see if the Huskies can have the perfect season, and they in fact did have the perfect season right here in the Pac-12, the final season of the Pac-12. The Huskies finished 12-0. So I've been thinking. I said during the, Dorian and I talk, during the games and stuff like that. And, we say, the Huskies kind of mirror, the Seahawks as far as how they've been playing. But I found out after yesterday, I figured out rather that I'm going to change who I think the Huskies mirror as far as their what they're doing. Because the Huskies, yeah, they struggle on third down. They have the same problems as the Seahawks, right? They're struggling on offense right now, and their defense is kind of shaky, especially in the first half. But it seems like in the second half, they seem to get it together and play much better. Uh, especially for the last 5 or 6 games for the Huskies. Whereas the Seahawks struggle, but unfortunately, they continue to struggle. Penalties are killing that team. The Huskies seems, to have their own fair share of penalties as well. They struggle on third down, both sides of the ball, just like the Seahawks. But there's another team that the Huskies seem to remind me of when I'm watching the NFL, and you're going to be surprised why I'm going to say this, but I think the surprise team for me, as far as who the Huskies kind of mimic, are the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philly Eagles are 10-1, but are they an impressive 10-1? When you look at their games and who they played and how they've come along on their victories, have they really impressed anyone to think that the Philadelphia Eagles are the juggernauts of the NFL? Even though they do have the best record, and they've beaten everybody except for the Jets. How that happened, who knows? But anyway, but the Huskies, they're undefeated, but they're struggling. But you know what? They're good enough to win regardless, and that's what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing. They're winning despite the fact that they're struggling. They're not beating the teams that they should beat handily. And that's what the knock is on Washington right now, because ever since they played Oregon and beat them in a barn burner, 36-33, if I remember the score correctly, folks have been complaining that the Huskies don't really look like the Huskies, in the first few games of the season, and which is true. Penix has struggled, right? He was heavily favored for the Heisman, and now that kind of talk has kind of wavered. Now you're talking about Bo Nix, Jordan Daniels for LSU. So those are the candidates, and of course now Marvin Harrison Jr. for Ohio State. He's put his name in the hat as far as who could be in the run for the Heisman. So things have kind of taken a little downswing as far as that's concerned, but still, like I said, the Huskies are still undefeated, 12-0. And so they got a big contest coming up Friday in the Pac-12 championship in Vegas. I know some people that are going, and I hope they have a great time. And of course, we're all hoping that the Dogs pull it out. Oregon is favored. The last I checked, well, at least when I checked this morning, they were favored by 9. That's a real significant total when you think that the Huskies are ranked number 3 in the nation, right? And then Oregon is, right on their heels at number 5. But the Oregon Ducks have been taking care of business ever since they lost to Washington. They haven't had a close game since that defeat. They've been blowing everybody out. They blew out Utah, who the Huskies struggled. They blew out Washington State, actually, who the Huskies struggled. They blew out Oregon State recently, who 2 weeks ago the Huskies struggled in Corvallis and beat them by 2. And so, that's why people are saying right now, as it looks, that the Huskies are are underdogs against Oregon. What do you folks think? What do you think? You think the dogs are going to bring it Friday, or do you think they're going to continue to struggle? They certainly can't struggle the way they've been struggling, or it's going to be a blowout, and that's the last thing we want to see, right? You don't want to see your 12-0 team get to a championship game and get smashed. You know, we're not Ohio State. We don't do that. Okay. So, I mentioned Ohio State because they've done that a few times. They've gotten 11-1, 12, 12 victories, whatever, and then they get to the playoffs and they get destroyed. And I do not want to see that happen to the dogs here coming up, especially Friday. We know that Oregon is gunning for them. They can't wait to get at them. They want revenge. They felt that they should have won this game in Seattle. But listen, yeah, they missed an opportunity by missing the field goal. But that game was very competitive, and to be honest, Washington had control of the game for the most part. People forget that Washington had a double-digit lead in the first half and into the second half. And so Oregon actually had to rally, which they normally do. You can't count them out hardly ever, right? You could have a 10-point lead on Oregon, but that's certainly isn't going to make you want to feel comfortable, right? If you have a 20-point lead, perhaps you might feel a little better, but you still can't let the foot off the gas. Fridays for the Huskies, it's got to be all gas, no brakes, period. It has to be because I don't care what kind of if Washington goes out to a big lead, they cannot take their foot off their neck because we already know what Oregon can do. They got Bo Nix, they got Troy Franklin, Bucky Irving, your three main players. You could say superstars for Oregon. As in contrast, the Huskies have Penix, Odunze, Dylan Johnson now, and of course, but he looked like he was a little banged up against the Cougs. So let's hope he gets this week to recover. It's a short week, right? Because they got to play Friday. They just played Saturday. So it's going to be a short week, so to speak. Both of our teams are having a short week, so to speak, because the Seahawks play on Thursday, but they went from Thursday to Thursday. So that's pretty normal as far as, you get the week off after you're playing, but they're playing 2 Thursdays in a row, which is unusual. And also I heard that they're wearing their throwbacks this week in Dallas, so that should be interesting. But getting back to the Huskies, man, they're at number 3 right now, and let's see if they can hold on to that or actually move up, right? Because the Huskies aren't the only ones with a tough game coming up. You got Georgia and Alabama, and Bama's been on fire, ever since they lost to Texas. And then you got who else is playing? Let me think. Michigan has to play in the Big Ten championship game against Iowa. Iowa's 10-2, but Iowa has a very good defense, so you can't sleep on them. Michigan can't let off the gas themselves. And then Florida State. I haven't checked who they play, but they snuck themselves back in the top 4 since Michigan and Ohio State settled their Big Ten, Big Ten standings. We all knew that one of those teams would be canceled out in the top 4, and so by Michigan winning that game 30-24 over Ohio State. They are at number 2. They jumped to number 2 because they were at number 3, and Ohio State drops from 2 to number 6. That's a pretty far drop considering it was a very close game, but well, that's how it works. So Florida State moves in number 4. Washington moves up to number 3. So we got Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Florida State right now, currently in this college football playoff. Now, whether that's going to continue to be that, after Friday or Saturday. Let's say after Saturday, because I think Bama and Georgia play Saturday. That's going to be interesting. Now, look, what happens if Alabama beats Georgia? What happens if Iowa beats Michigan? I mean, look, it's going to be crazy. Of course, then it depends on how Washington and Oregon do. Um, if Oregon beats Washington, let's say Oregon beats Washington 28-27, right? That's a very competitive close game, so how far would Washington drop if they drop, out? Like, if Georgia and Michigan do their part and win, and then Washington loses by 1 to Oregon, then we know that Oregon's going to move up, and then Washington would probably drop out, probably 5, or probably behind Ohio State, I would think. So it's a must win for Washington. But let's say Washington beats Oregon, and listen, you know what? Let's play this game. Let's say that they beat them handily. Let's say Washington puts it all together and they beat Oregon 45-33, right? Does Washington stay at number 3? Could they move up possibly? That it's kind of a tough scenario, between 1 through 4. So it all, this Washington Oregon game, I think, is probably the biggest game of the week. Of course, look, everybody loves the SEC and Alabama and Georgia, and that's always going to be highfalutin, high tail, high side game. But this game for us West Coasters, this is probably the biggest game of the week, and to me, this probably is the biggest game in the country. It should be anyway. Forget the bias, because Washington, Oregon is going to, have a lot of say in what's going to be happening in the college football playoff. Oh, I see you, bro.
I'm here.
What's happening?
I'm here.
Man, what's going on?
Yeah, my fault, man.
No, it's okay. It's all good.
Cleveland practice went a little long. We're preparing for Auburn High School tomorrow, so yeah, I definitely just lost track of time yesterday, man.
Oh,
I'm here
okay.
though.
Yeah, hey, that's all that matters. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good, man. Stuffed my face. I think it was first time in a while that I got to have some of my mom's cooking since she was gone last year. She did her thing like always. Friends came over, and it was a fun time, man. Got to hang out with some family who was in town. So, yeah, it was fun and full.
Awesome. Yeah. Did you have some time off?
Yeah, I had a couple of days off. I had Thursday, Friday off, and then also, Cleveland, we had our jamboree on Saturday. Went 2-0, looked really good. Hopefully, Pepe, you can get some time and you'll be able to stop by the game. I know Michael Carter said he's coming, but
yeah, he's going to be there, and I definitely will try and make some time to do that, because I definitely want to see you and cheer on the Cleveland Eagles, my alma mater. So yeah, definitely. You've probably heard I was talking about the Washington Huskies and what's happening this coming week with how they did with the Cougars and what's going on with Oregon. And Michael Carter, I agree, man. Penix has to be on his A game for this week, man. He can't be Geno Penix, right? He can't. I called him Geno Penix over the weekend because he's just not looking right. He's just off, and then but it's not just him. There's one other player that's really off, and I don't know what's going on with him, and that's Jalen Polk. He's dropped everything that's been thrown to him since he said he couldn't. He wanted to rain all day in Corvallis last week. He's dropped everything. I don't remember him if he's made a catch. I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, it's put up or shut up for UW. All these last few weeks, they just haven't been, especially offensively, that juggernaut team that we saw in the beginning of the season. If they don't play as well as they played against Oregon last time, or anything close to that, they don't have a chance against Oregon. Oregon has been on top of their game ever since losing to UW, and they have prepared for themselves to get back on this coming up weekend and to possibly put themselves maybe in that top four where they think that they belong. So, yeah, but the UW's back is against the wall. It's not Oregon. They're ready for this game.
Right, and that's why Oregon is, you can say, heavily favored.
They are
in this game, which is kind of disappointing because it's once again it's almost like the lack of respect. But look, Oregon's on the West Coast too, so we can't say East Coast bias, right?
Yeah,
because Oregon is right here with us on the West Coast. And let's be honest, Washington's done it to themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Their lackluster play against Arizona State and Stanford and Utah, right?
Wazoo.
And then of course Wazoo.
All these teams that Oregon beat handily.
All of them. They've been smoking everybody. I think the only tough game they've had was against Washington.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. So they've smoked everybody's. So, and I don't know. We'll see. I'm worried.
I am too,
bro. I am concerned.
Yeah.
Because I don't want Oregon, man, smashing us. I don't want 38-13, 45, whatever. I don't want that, man.
Agree.
If we go down, man, we need to go down fighting hard, like they did, like they beat, we beat them. We miss a field goal to end the game, so be it, or something. Or if they actually have to hit a field goal to beat us, then so be it. But
I mean, for me, Pep, I don't know if I can. I don't think I can take a loss at all, even if it's by 1 point. Only because you done had one of your best seasons in UW history. To inch right there, college football playoffs is right there, and we all know like college football playoffs is kind of open this year. You're one win away from not just finishing off, but just putting yourself in the door of actually competing for a national championship. Like I said, I think a year that any of those top four teams who are in, maybe outside of Florida State, will have a chance to win the national championship. So I honestly will just I won't be disappointed because they lost to Oregon, because Oregon is a really good team. I just would be disappointed, like I said, just going 12-0 and just knocking at the door, putting yourself in position to win a national championship. It wasn't like it was, what was that, last year or the year before when they went to the college football playoffs and they played Michigan in the first round. I don't think it's that feeling if they can make it to the college football playoffs. I think they have a chance. Maybe not a big chance, but they'll have a puncher's chance.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Washington has beaten Oregon the last 2 times. They went down to Eugene last year, beat Oregon. And, of course, earlier this season, they beat Oregon. So, the last 2 games, Washington has won. So they should get a little bit more respect than they're getting, I think. So I don't like the fact that they're underdogs by that many points.
Yeah.
9. We're talking more than a touchdown.
Yeah. And I think that'll come down around game time. Or before game time, I think it will.
Right. Yeah. Well, I hope so. Man. Shoot. Man. Oh. Yeah. So, man, let's, Husky fans, man, let's go. Let's get it going, man.
Put up or shut up time.
Yeah, let's get 13-0, and then after that, let's hit that playoff running. We'll probably still be at 3, I'm guessing, right? So that means you have to play Michigan. So Georgia would play the number 4 team. I don't know. I don't know if Florida State's going to be able to stay in there.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know who they put. Do you know who they play next? Florida State.
That is a very good question.
We all know that they don't have their quarterback, right? Their regular quarterback.
Like Louisville, who's actually pretty good.
Ooh, boy. Now Louisville lost to Kentucky.
Yes.
Last week, but Kentucky seems to have their number, so that's not a surprise. But Louisville is pretty good, yeah. So that's not going to be an easy test for Florida State. So, man, we can expect. Listen, let's just, Florida. Do you know where the game is?
I want to say Charlotte, North Carolina, right?
Okay. Oh, okay.
Bank of America Stadium.
ACC
Yep.
championship.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, neutral site. So that should be good. Florida State's got that stud, Keon Coleman. He's my number 3 as far as best wide receivers in college. Marvin Harrison is number 1 for me, but he's been number 1 for last year. So it's not like I'm joining the bandwagon. I've been on his bandwagon since last season.
Okay.
And I already knew about him when he was a freshman. So I already knew he was going to be rugged. And then, of course, I got Rome Odunze as the number 2. And he's, you could say Harrison's 1 and Odunze's 1A. I mean, he's right there with him to me. But it's that close.
Uh-huh.
But I'll give him. I'll say he's number 2 in my book. Keon Coleman 3. Number 4, I got Troy Franklin from Oregon, and then everybody else.
Okay.
Those are my top 4 wide receivers in college, and I'm sure there's probably another guy or 2 that I'm probably overlooking that could be right up there with these guys. But as I see it, those are my top 4. Do you have your own, or do you like?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not as locked in as you are when it comes to a lot of these players in college football. I just love watching college sports in general. But yeah, I need to get. But that's something next year. I'm gonna try to challenge myself is to really lock, especially college football. I love watching college football. It's just
it's awesome
to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it too, and we're definitely looking forward to Friday. Man,
I just love there's so many ways that this college football playoffs can go. Debating on what goes down this week. I heard you talk about Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah,
heavy implications of that game. Alabama's been cruising ever since they lost. Who they lose to?
Georgia had a little rough time with Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
right? And Georgia Tech was 5-5 or 5-6. Yeah, it blow them out.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why, and so like I said, for me, it's like, yes, Georgia. It's almost kind of like, well, no, because I get it. They play in the SEC, but just like you said, this is not last year's Georgia where they were just pile driving every team they played in the SEC. I mean,
right.
They had games that they struggled against teams that they shouldn't have been struggling against. The only team that to me has just consistently played and blew out everybody they played until last week was Michigan.
Yeah,
but everybody else.
Michigan played Maryland, kind of struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
And then of course, well, they weren't, for the most part, weren't going to blow out Ohio State.
Yes,
they did blow them out, but they did blow them out last year in Columbus. They blew them out 45-23. So, we didn't expect that. And we didn't get that. So we got a competitive game, and so
because at the end of the day, I can't necessarily Texas is still just sitting there at one loss. I can't necessarily say that. Maybe I don't know. I don't say it's over for Ohio State, but I feel like out of all these teams, they probably have the smallest chances that they're not playing for their conference championship. But everybody from 1 through 8 is playing for a conference championship. So it's going to be real interesting to see how this all goes down. It's going to be fun.
I just thought of something. Well, okay, let's say the Dogs lose Friday, right? And so that means they're going to play. Do they play in a Rose Bowl or something, or do they play in another bowl, or are they locked into another, like the Rose Bowl, which they have to play like Ohio State or something?
Well, because usually the Pac-12 winner goes to the Pac-12 championship winner goes to the Rose Bowl, right?
Because I thought an interesting scenario in my head would be like if Washington lost and then Texas won, whatever, they'd both be 11-1, 12-1, or whatever they are. I wonder if Washington and Texas could match up, because that would be intriguing because of Steve Sarkisian, ex-Husky coach. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think if there was something, It was to play out, like that would be something that they would want to do for money, for
Question.
for interest,
Yeah.
right? It would be, yeah, it would be something like that. All right, when we come back, we're going to get into O's favorite, the NBA, and of course later on we will get into the NFL. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
I'm Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not hearing men compare women to residential real estate, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
We must all remain committed to slow the spread of coronavirus, taking care of ourselves and not putting others in harm's way, especially those already at high risk of getting seriously ill, including people over 65 or those with underlying medical conditions. If you must be out, avoid crowded areas, stay 6 feet or 2 arm lengths away from others, and wear a face covering. Wash hands frequently with soap and water for 20 seconds, especially after being in public spaces. Avoid touching your face, cough or sneeze in a tissue, then throw it away. Disinfect frequently, touch objects, and if you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. Slowing coronavirus means taking care of ourselves while also protecting others. Even if you're not at high risk, these steps should be taken to help slow the spread of coronavirus. We are all in this together.
1, 2, get down! What's up, big and little homies? This is Masvita Mara, host of Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio .world, your one-stop shop for Seattle sports. We cover preps, we cover college, we cover pro, we cover it all. Huskies, Mariners, Seahawks, Garfield, South, Roosevelt, Petro, King County. This is where you want to listen to for all the sports that's happening in Seattle. Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
What's going on, world? It's your boy OG Mambo
and your guy D Money. Join us along with Pint Size Patron and ID Yourself
here on Fresh Juice at Rainier Avenue Radio
every Wednesday hump day from 9 to 11 Pacific.
Get exclusive interviews from your favorite artists, all the hottest music, and updates on what we got going on in the world.
That's every Wednesday, 9 to 11 p.m. on Seattle's Rainier Avenue Radio.
Hey, Seattle, here are some storage tips to love food, stop waste. Onions make potatoes sprout faster. Keep onions away from potatoes. Ripe bananas give off a gas that makes the fruit around them ripen faster. Store bananas away from other fruits. 40% of food in the U.S. goes uneaten. Save money, save food, save the planet. Visit Seattle Public Utilities for more tips.
Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Welcome back, everybody. LidLine Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. This Friday at 7 p.m. And then there were two. We're down to the final two in the football playoffs for AAA, for 3A. We got Bellevue versus Yelm right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. So you don't want to miss it. Bellevue upset O'Day, so they might be on their way, but Yelm probably got something to say about that. So we'll see. So this Friday, tune in, 7 p.m. Friday, Yelm and Bellevue. Happy birthday to Masvita tomorrow. So I hope he has a wonderful day. He's one of our big and little homie. Yeah. And so I want to give a shout out to Rhonda Dorsey, of course, Bill Walker Jr., Michael A. Carter, Nancy Conyers. I don't know where you are, but she texted me and said that she wanted to know if we were on the show. Well, yeah, we're here. Where are you? And I'm sure my girl Doreen is listening, so appreciate that very much. Oh, what's happening in the association?
I got a question for you before I get there.
What?
Back to that UW football. If you had a team that you could pick to play in the first round, who would you want to play?
Oh, you mean the current four?
I'll let you even go stretch it out to the 7 teams. Just
ooh, man. Well, you know what? I want to stay in look, if Washington's going to be undefeated, I want them to play an undefeated team.
Okay.
So, of course, I'd want them to play either Michigan or Georgia. Okay. I'd probably say Michigan because I think they might match up better. And plus we owe Michigan a little something, right?
Yep.
Because they beat us down year before last in Ann Arbor, so I'd like to see a little payback for that.
Okay.
Yep.
I think I'd go Georgia too. I think Georgia I'd rather play, but I mean it's just something always about Michigan that a lot of just everybody hates. So I would love to beat up on Michigan for sure too.
Yeah. Don't let me forget. So remind me later on in the show when I start talking about the NFL because I want to mention something about Michigan.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, some NBA. The in-season tournament has pretty much dwindled down. We have some teams that have hit the spot, and we'll be heading to Vegas in about 2 weeks. In Group A, the Pacers, who are 4-0, they'll be heading on to Vegas. Mm-hmm. It's nice to see that young team and Tyrese Halliburton, man, really balling.
He has been,
yeah,
he's been lights out, efficient. He's just been spectacular.
I think as early right now, I think he should be getting, if the season ended tomorrow, he should be getting some MVP votes because he is doing a great job leading the Indiana Pacers. In the East Group B, the Milwaukee Bucks are at 3-0, and it looks like they should move on with a plus 39 differential in that group. It looks like they will be moving on to Vegas as well. In Group C, a surprise, and unless the Celtics blow out whoever they are playing, it looks like the Magic will be moving on as the Group C winner. And that's with the Boston Celtics in there. Are you surprised by that, Pat?
Very. And the Magic have won 7 in a row, and Paolo Banchero has been named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure that has a lot to do with that streak. So kudos for that.
Yeah, surprised myself only because the Celtics are in there, but I'm not as surprised that the Magic are playing really well because I said that they might be that team who kind of takes that leap and possibly making the playoffs or playing. So they're just starting off early, and I love what they're doing over there. West Group A, kind of surprised. I guess I'm surprised, but the Lakers 4-0 plus 74 difference. They will be moving on. On to Vegas. That Lakers-Suns game kind of was a turning point for the Suns. And since then, they lost to OKC on Sunday. But since then, the Suns have shot off 7 straight. But the Lakers they blew out pretty much everybody besides the Suns in this group. The Suns have one more game. They pretty much, I think, have solidified being in the what's the role that I'm saying? The wild card role. Only one per each group on each side. Mm-hmm. It looks like the Suns at plus 34 differential. And I think they have the Grizzlies next, who haven't won at all. It looks like the Suns should be moving on into Vegas. And it looks like it's still up for grabs in the Eastern Conference spot. But it looks like the Knicks have the highest point differential out of every other team who has not won, who not secured their spot in the East.
The Knicks and the Suns played a barn burner last night.
Man, that was a really fun game. Pep, as any kid growing up that wants to play the game of basketball at the highest level, you dream about hitting a game-winning shot in Madison Square Garden in front of a big crowd. And that's what Devin Booker did on Sunday. It was beautiful just seeing him dribble over to the right, raise up, fade away. To me, it mirrored Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, and it was beautiful to watch.
So he's got that assassin mentality,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. And he kind of had to get into that, especially on Sunday. Kevin Durant, who missed his second game in a row with a sore foot, he didn't play. So Pep, the not talking about the Suns is working. We won 7 straight. I understand though, we're not healthy yet,
Right.
but we did rattle off 7 straight. I think Kevin Durant will be back on Wednesday as well. So it looks like it was just something minor with him. I know he went through warmups against the Knicks, and he was a late game scratch. But that last group in the West, West Group C, the Kings are 3-0 with one more game left, plus 29 differential.
Wow.
They probably will move on to Vegas. The Thunder, surprisingly, though, with a 1-2 though record, that was plus 27 differential, just not being able to win some of those close games. So, yeah.
But Chet Holmgren is still impressive.
Man, super impressive.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Orlando Magic and the OKC Thunder have been, I guess you can't really say the surprise for the West. I mean, because OKC was pretty solid last year, but I guess nobody saw them ascending to being top 3 teams in their, or 4 teams in their conference to be this early on. It is early, so we'll see how that keeps going off. But yes, the play-in starts. Not next Monday, but the Monday after that. I want to say that is on December 11th.
Okay.
Mark your calendars. That starts then. That'll be really fun to watch going forward. Something else that I definitely did want to mention, and it's all speculation right now. It's being under investigation. Don't know what's going on. A picture was posted of Josh Giddey on Twitter, and it circulated, and it looked like it was possibly an underage teenage female who had posted that she did something sexual with Josh Giddey, and it just blew up, and finally the NBA has said that they are investigating into it. So I do find this kind of interesting, Pep. So when that incident happened in baseball with the guy from the Rays, do you remember that incident? I can't think of his name, but he was suspended almost immediately pending further investigation. Do you think the NBA should take that path as well with Josh Giddey?
It's hard to say because I don't know the circumstance with Giddey. He looks like he's underage himself. I don't even know if he shaves.
Yeah.
But no, for real. Yeah, I mean, man, it's really touchy, man, because what they did for the Rays as far as baseball, they didn't mess around with that. They took action immediately. And so they probably did it the right way. And the NBA, Adam Silver, he's kind of wishy-washy to me. He's hard on some stuff. He's hard on the brothers, of course.
Yeah.
But he's hard on some stuff, and then other stuff he's kind of like, well, we don't know. We're looking into it. Are you? I mean, how long does it take?
No, you put up a good point because you see a lot of people will say, well, sheesh, I mean, Ja got 25 games and all he did was hold up a gun in front of the camera, and we're getting serious allegations about other players, and it's kind of just being investigated, and we're talking about Adam Silver, who is a commissioner who I think did a really good job with Stein of doing a good job of changing the image of the NBA. And so now you're kind of hearing like whispers of like what's going on in the NBA. You're seeing in the NFL things are being either nipped in the bud or guys are getting suspended fast. Same's happening with baseball, and kind of now in the NBA we're kind of seeing some of these guys kind of getting away with some really serious allegations or, kind of being swept under the rug. So, no, that was really interesting to hear you say that, Pep, because like I said, Adam Silver is, you thought to be one of those no-nonsense kind of commissioners when it comes to, serious allegations. So
right. To me, Adam Silver acts like David Stern's still around because it seems like he's scared to do stuff.
Yeah.
Without some kind of approval.
Yeah.
It seems like he always looks somewhere else to see, what he should say or what he should do. Man, you're the guy.
Yeah.
Make a decision. You're the man. Do it. I mean, you can't be having this kind of scandal and then let it fester.
Exactly. We're talking about somebody who possibly, or like I said, who was being accused of, like I said, having sexual allegation or having sexual encounter with somebody underage. And like I said, to me, it's kind of just being treated. And I get it. Like I said, it's rumor and allegations, but in any other sport, this is put on Front Street and it is handled accordingly. This is something that, it's not really talked about in the media like that, and sports media is just kind of being blown under the rug until they find out what's happening. So I agree. It's kind of weird that, there's not really, somebody who's stepping up and making the right choice, at least for the time being. I agree. NBA power rankings, O's power rankings for this week. I got the Boston Celtics at number 1. Moving along, like I said, I still think that they are the best team in the NBA so far. Number 2, we just talked about them earlier, the Orlando Magic, man, flying into this top 5 and very right deserving. So because of what you said, they have won 7 straight, sitting at 2nd in the East, man. Number 3, I got the Minnesota Timberwolves. Kind of been going up and down a little bit, but they are still playing really good basketball. Number 1 in the West at 12-4. Number 3, I got the Milwaukee Bucks still playing really good basketball. Or number 4, Milwaukee Bucks playing really good basketball still. Number 5, maybe it's favoritism, but I got to throw them in there off of 7 straight. My guys, the Phoenix Suns, are getting it done, and they shoot all the way up to 5.
Nice. Man, what's wrong with the Spurs, man? They're down. They've lost 12 in a row, man. And I don't, I'm rooting for Victor.
Yeah.
And of course, Pop is kind of like, he gets on your nerves sometimes, but then in other instances, you kind of root for him. So I'm kind of like in between right now, but I certainly don't want them to be tanking already, right?
Yeah, no, it's especially when you have a transcending and this big polar of a player in Wembanyama. You want to see them start turning the corner now than later. That's like almost like with Cleveland getting LeBron James's rookie year. Yes, they did not play, but you saw a quick turn. It was only 2 years. Without the way they're playing, I can't say that these guys are going to be ready to go by next year.
Let me go back a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Larry Bird.
Yeah.
The Boston Celtics won 29 games the year before he showed up. You know how many they won when he showed up? 61.
Yeah. So, it is mind-boggling. And to me, the reason why it's kind of mind-boggling too, because before they went on this win streak, they went and beat the Phoenix Suns twice in Phoenix. One off of a comeback, one pretty much just controlling the whole game. So that's a good team to beat, and then turn around and, like I said, lose off 12 straight, and a lot of them are blowouts. It's a little alarming. It is a little alarming. But they are really super young still. But, yeah, you got to find the corner, and you got to start turning it.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any other surprise team out there for you?
In a bad way, but, I mean, we talked about this before, and they're kind of starting to figure it out. They won, I think, 2 straight now as the LA Clippers. Mm-hmm. But they're still out of the play-in, figuring out. James Harden's playing okay. Kawhi and Paul George are still trying to figure out the role. Russell Westbrook is now taking a role off the bench. Terrence Mann has came back and he's inserted in the starting lineup. I don't know. I'm a little concerned, but it is still early. I don't see it, Pep. I don't see it.
Yeah, and what's so funny to me is they're making a big deal that Kawhi hasn't taken any games off yet. I mean, they're 15 games in the season. They say, "Oh, Kawhi's played in every game." Oh my gosh, really?
That's his job. He's supposed to do that.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I thought, 15 games in, I thought he'd take 6 or 7 off, for
No.
load management. Yeah.
No, the
No?
other surprise, but I guess it's not really a surprise, but kind of is a surprise, is Memphis 3-13. I mean, I know
Yeah.
John's, but
And
she,
Marcus Smart certainly is unhappy.
yeah.
This ain't Boston, buddy.
Yeah, the only
Yeah.
good thing that did happen with that, and hopefully, something happens with Jalen Noel. He signed a 10-day contract with
Okay.
Memphis Grizzlies last Thursday, so
Yeah. Well,
he
that
actually got
means
some pretty
scoring.
decent playing time. So exactly, so hopefully he goes in and he does what he does, and he can, maybe stay on that team for the rest of the year. But,
And
but
how are the Houston Rockets doing right now?
they kind of came back to life a little bit. They're sitting
Yeah.
at 7th place at 8-6. But this is where I thought that they'd be around this, though, not the 6-game win streak that they did go on to start. That was surprising.
Right.
I do think that Houston will be a play-in team possibly, or sitting right outside by the end of the season. But they're still playing decent basketball. Alfred Sengun, he is a monster. I think they go as he goes. I think that's who they need to be playing through. But he's a good guy, man.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Thanks, bro. Did you have anything else?
No, that's it, man. Like I
Okay.
said, it's just everybody's still figuring out their way and trying to make it to December so everybody can start turning that curve, So
Yeah.
I always say that the regular season don't start till Christmas. That's my saying.
Gotcha.
I know a lot of people say All-Star game. I think that's when they start cracking down.
Yeah, but All-Star is February, man. Season,
Exactly. That's why I said
3/4
the season-
over almost.
Yeah, the season starts in January.
Yeah.
I mean,
'cause,
December. Yeah, Christmas.
So good stuff. All right, we're gonna get into the NFL real quick, but
Sure.
just before I do that, I want to point out that Doreen came up and gave us some good info, saying that the Rose Bowl is part of the CFP, college football playoff. So
okay.
they're in that rotation. So it would be kind of cool to see Washington, Michigan to meet in that round right there. And so
Thank
but that the automatic Rose Bowl went away several years ago. Yeah, and you know what? I forgot about that. She's right.
Mhm.
And so now it's part of the CFP. So I appreciate that knowledge from her. So the NFL, let's get back into that. Of course, I talked about the Philadelphia Eagles earlier in my little monologue there. When I was saying that the Huskies and the Eagles are kind of that's who the Huskies are kind of playing, reminding me of, because the Eagles aren't necessarily a juggernaut, and nobody's saying that about Washington, even though they're 12-0. But Philly, they're not blowing anybody out, right? They're barely winning a lot of games. Even teams they should be beating, like the Commanders, they should be killing them, and they struggled against both, and they won both of them, but they struggled, and that's the kind of ball that Washington's doing.
Yeah.
They're struggling, but they're still winning. So that accounts for something. And especially if you get into the playoffs and you get into a tight situation. Well, how many tight situations have they been in?
Exactly.
Plenty. So that should bode well for them, I would feel, that if they get into the playoffs here, or even Friday, that if it gets down to the wire, that should bode well for the Huskies, I'm hoping. Your Seattle Seahawks. They are now 6-5 and looking to be 6-6 by the end of the week. Because does anybody really feel that they're going to win in Dallas? Really?
Pep, you do especially when it comes to football, you just do such a good job with your analysis. And I think what's so good, especially about, the people especially that haven't played the game, I think what separates those guys and guys who have and knowing the game is being able to predict things and be right about it. So just 2 weeks ago, us breaking down the Seahawks, we were breaking down their schedule. Mm-hmm. And like I said, you're hitting everything just right on the nail. When it comes to these guys, I'm worried. There's no other way to put it. The offense, I don't think they can find enough points to put up against or to beat the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. And I'm like I said, I'm really, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I can't. I'm not confident at this point saying it. Like I said, that Rams game is really hurt because we talked about this earlier on that they're going through a juggernaut part of their schedule, and they're not ready.
No,
Not ready.
they're not close to being ready. And so so when they were 6-3, was that expected or was that like fool's gold? I'm I'm kind of like in the middle of that because yeah, I think the record they were at that time, they probably should have been better than that. Actually, they should have beat Cincinnati. If Gino would have been acting right.
Yeah.
You 4 times in the red zone in the second half, and you can't score. Come
Yeah.
on, man. That was a red flag for the rest of rest of the way. Already. And bro, I appreciate what you said, but looking at the schedule, man, this was not brain surgery. It was not hard to figure
I
out.
get you.
I mean,
get you.
how the Seahawks are built, how they are coached, and I can predict what's going to happen play by play almost. And here's one thing that alarmed me that nobody, and I mean nobody mentioned, but I said it to Doreen because we were watching the game together, the Commander game. They were on fourth. They had a fourth down and like 1 or something like that. And when they came out of the huddle, I saw something, and I knew they were not getting that first down. What I saw was Noah Fant coming out of the huddle and shaking his head.
That's never a good sign.
I spotted that.
That's never a good
I
sign.
said they're not getting this first down because I could tell by him shaking his head he didn't like the play call.
Yeah.
And doggone it, they did not get the first down. As a matter of fact, they might have. Yeah, I don't know if they lost yardage, but they did not get the first down, and they almost blew that game. So I already knew. I already know they got issues, man. This team, and let's be honest, we know what the issue is. Other than Gino, the coaching,
Yeah.
the staff is, they need to change, bro. I know I'm a broken record, and I apologize for that, but I've had enough.
And I think that's my whole thing. I think with Seattle sports in general is there's no competitive nature to want to win it all, that when things like this are happening, to nip it in the bud early.
Right.
And move on and be okay with that. But if you are trying to win, you understand that those are the necessary difficult steps that you have to do. And this has been the writing on the wall. And I think what only has saved Pete Carroll's job is that he did a lot with less last year. But like I said, are we playing just to make the playoffs and losing the first round?
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is a team that should have won 2 Super Bowls in a span when he started. That once you see a championship, that should be all that you're playing for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It is not just about trying to put money in your pocket. You are trying to also win. And that's the only thing. And I think that has a lot to do with why you see a lot of bandwagon fans in Seattle, because they're tired of seeing the Mariners and the Sonics and the Seahawks just okay with being just good or decent.
Right.
And you're seeing it with the Seahawks. I mean, this should be Pete Carroll's last year, but we know it's not.
Man, please. I hope so.
Yeah.
Him, the OC, I mean, the whole staff need a revamp. And Rhonda Dorsey asked a great question. Who can they get as coach? Well, I'm going to tell you who I want as coach. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree, and I get that. But I think Jim Harbaugh would be a great coach to come up to Seattle and change things around. I think he could do it.
He's a winner.
Yeah. I mean, look, do we like Harbaugh personally? Heck no. He's, but I mean, we want to win, right? We want to get in. We want to be relevant, and then of course we want to be feared.
Exactly.
And he could help bring that.
This was a franchise who was all of that. What you just said, feared, the most loudest fans in the building everywhere they went.
You're gonna have loud fans, but a soft team that doesn't match.
No,
that does not compute.
Yeah.
So I would like Jim Harbaugh as our coach, and I want Will Stein as the OC. And do you know who Will Stein is? Will Stein is the OC for the Oregon Ducks.
Oh, that's all you had to tell me then. Okay.
Yeah.
And I I want Gino to stop running the social media after he has a bad game and he hears all the critics. Stop doing it.
I'm tired of hearing the my bad. I can do better. Can you? Are you sure? I mean, just man, don't say nothing. Just ball.
Exactly.
And if you suck, well, we already see it. We know it. So you don't even have to say nothing.
Yep.
Man, it's evident.
I agree 100%.
I mean, like I'm watching Josh Dobbs, right? Who's been a bum for a long time, but now sometime this year he's gotten an opportunity and he's actually studied, obviously, and he's gotten better. I don't know what's happening tonight, but what I've noticed from him is like he doesn't panic. He doesn't panic and he steps up. Gino panics and he don't step up. Every time Gino steps up, he completes a good pass. When he don't step up and panics, well, we already know what happens.
Yep.
And then of course, we're not using the tight ends, and I'm tired of hearing Pete making excuses and saying this and that and the other. But anyway, bro, we're out of time. I can go on and on, but look, man. So bro, thanks for your great analysis on the NBA and everything else. Everybody, thank you everyone for listening. On behalf of O and Daniel, I'm Pep. We'll see you next week. Holla.
Peace.